I didn't want to leave a thread dangling. As we mentioned, I DVR'd the pay-per-view, but when I started watching it the same time of night, basically, as it came on live, right? Just a different day. And by the time that we got through all the marathon bump fests and etc., and I was able to zip through that ladder match where every 5 minutes they were running over each other with goddamn 18-wheelers or whatever. And the world title match between Chris Jericho and Adam Page was in the ring and being introduced, and I start watching, and I went to fucking sleep, which is, I'm sure, probably like a lot of people in the live crowd that night, because once again, everybody had talked about how, well, they should have put the ladder match on last because the world title match could. Well, no shit. Two guys having a legitimate wrestling match are not going to be able to follow four guys falling off everything in the building over and over, even if there is no story and no reason to it, and it's just a fucking contrived stunt show. What you've done is you've immuned your crowd to all the bumps and all the chaos, and then you put your money match in the ring that's going to depend on whether you draw big ratings or big pay-per-view numbers or to sell tickets or whatever on a mainstream long-term basis. And the people live don't like it because everybody's not falling through furniture, and the people on pay-per-view have gone to sleep because it's 4 hours in. What the fuck? There's the simple solution to what match to put on last and what should follow what would be put the world title match on the last and tell the spot monkeys, as they like to use that term. I guess that's another one of these wrestling terms that have been made up over the last 10 or 15 years. Tell them don't do so much stupid shit. That's why nobody ever did stupid shit like that over and over in front of people before, because you get immune to it. And that would be the destruction of everybody in the wrestling business. Imagine that. And all it does is make your money matches, the shit that people can take seriously and have emotion for, rather than just going, oh, he's dead, over and over. Anyway, it was a great fucking match, I thought. The difference in it and most things on the card you could see because it made sense. It was two guys fighting for something. You had a heel that was in control, but you had the babyface that would not quit. There was a good use of blood. Like I said, Jericho was in charge, but Adam Page held up his end in a big building on pay-per-view. He's still a young man. The referee, young Aubrey, what's her name?
Aubrey Sinclair, was that it? Or no, it's not Sinclair.
Not Sinclair. That's Todd
Aubrey
Sinclair.
Edwards.
Aubrey Edwards. My God, Aubrey has married Todd Sinclair. Now they're a refereeing family. No, Aubrey Edwards was great. She had more fucking backbone and officialness than most referees I see these days. I love the buckshot lariat because it's a flip that makes sense and looks good. A guy that size being that nimble to sling himself over the top rope like that, land on his feet, and get that extra momentum to clothesline a motherfucker so his kids are born dizzy. I can buy that flip. They did it's been so long now, it's been a week sleep deprivation and book signing since I've watched it, so I don't remember all the specific spots, but it was a good pro wrestling match, a money match that you want people having in defense of your world championship. It wasn't the goddamn, second coming of Flair and Steamboat, but it was a main event pro wrestling match. And it's another example of reasons not to do stupidity like the car wreck in the previous match, or just the goofy gimmicks with the guys with the hands in their pockets or whatever, because you have conditioned not only the people viewing pay-per-view, but also the people watching in the arena that, remember, there's still a lot of silliness to this, and we shouldn't take everything seriously, and then the guys you're supposed to take seriously have to get in the ring and follow that. And this is not revolutionary. Vince McMahon Sr. thought this way, as well as Vince McMahon Jr., as well as Sam Muchnick. Your main event draws your money. The rest of your card makes them or keeps them as fans of wrestling, and it entertains them and gives them a value for their money. Now, Eddie Graham started doing the package shows, and Bill Watts followed that, and Dusty loved it too, where everything on the card meant something on the big shows, but there were still house shows in Columbia, South Carolina, where your main event and maybe your semifinal was what they came to see, and they got some nice matches. It didn't all have to be goddamn the biggest card ever signed. But even the package shows were created because the territories were weekly territories down south, and they needed more juice, and you needed more depth on the card with things that were angles that would draw money, rather than just the big cities. But you have to keep some type of logical, serious flavor if you're going to go for large numbers of people either watching on television or coming to arenas for an extended period of time instead of a fad audience. And all of the stuff that they do on the undercard undermines the top of their roster and what their efforts are supposed to be. To me, just my opinion. What'd you think of that fine wrestling match?
I thought it was all right. I didn't watch it in a vacuum, and I didn't watch it where it was just that one match. Much like everyone else, I was burned out by that point in the night on AEW, on that show. I just couldn't wait to move on.
4 hours and 20-something minutes, was it?
Yeah, so maybe it's a little unfair to watch it like that. I've spoken in the past my thoughts about Jericho in the ring currently. I think out of the ring, he's fantastic. I must admit, and maybe, time will change this, but I've only seen him a few times so far. I don't really get Adam Page yet. I don't really get why I should care about him yet.
You don't. Who is he? Is what you're saying?
Yeah, I mean, that was a great promo.
Other than a young guy and the Stitches and the whole 9 yards.
Yeah, other than the Stitches promo, which I thought was fantastic. I mean, in the ring, he had that long-ass match with, who was it at the previous show? Was it Sammy Guevara or was it someone else? I forget who it was even.
Oh, God, yeah, that went on forever before he could beat him.
Yeah, he had that really long match at the previous one. Probably wasn't Sammy Guevara because he's really good. And then this one, I don't know. There's nothing that's been done so far to really get me so that I want to see an Adam Page match. And every Adam Page match I've seen has gone 20 minutes at least. So I'm kind of waiting to see what the hype is. I don't see it yet. I don't
okay.
It.
And I can see because I'm looking at him with my, glasses on of if I had him in OVW or if I had him in a territory,
yeah.
He's a puppy with big paws. Hangman Adam Page, I don't think anybody believes that he really has hung people for a living in whatever states that still takes place in, probably Texas, I guess. But he's a Southern boy. I remember him from Ring of Honor when he was like 20 years old. He cuts pretty good promo. He doesn't need to be. I mean, the Hangman, I guess, came from the Bullet Club in Japan or whatever, but maybe he needs a little bit of different look. Maybe he needs to be even more him, more real. I kind of similar thing, Tracy Smothers. When he had been gimmicked up as one of the Southern boys and then the Young Pistols in WCW, and the Young Pistols thing was fucking horrible. So the WCW, well, it's too Southern, so Dusty moved them to Wyoming, right? They were always worried about being too Southern, a company based in Atlanta. Anyway, when I brought him into Smoky Mountain Wrestling, I just did a profile on who he was, that he had gone to Carson Newman College and he had done this and he liked to go out on the boat, and we just shot him around town and out in the woods. And it was just Tracy and the way he talked and him being real. Maybe that's what they need to do, more with Page, and just tell his captivating story, but just let him be more legitimate as himself. I don't know.
Yeah, plus I just haven't seen yet. And again, like I said, I've only seen a limited amount of his stuff. I haven't seen yet that match where I just go, wow, what a fantastic match. This guy was incredible in there. I haven't seen that yet. So I'm waiting. I'm open to seeing what everyone else has been hyping up and what obviously All Elite thinks they really have in him, but I haven't seen it yet. I'm waiting to see.
He's a guy that a lot of the guys like to work with, because you can tell he's so good and so smooth that a lot of the guys are like, oh yeah, he's fucking great. So naturally, in a company headed by the guys, he's going to get featured, but he has talent. I can see it. Mark it down in your little black book.
For a while, I was getting Adam Cole and Adam Page confused, I realized.
No, Adam Cole is fucking phenomenal. I've been a fan of Adam Cole's. He was 19 when he started Ring of Honor. Him and Kyle O'Reilly was like fucking 2 years older or whatever. But Adam from the start could do the promos. His work was impeccable. Even though he was smaller, he looked like an athlete. He had the long hair that was long enough and that face. It looks like a rock star. And you could tell that he was going to get it. I mean, and at promo class, I'd be taking guys, well, not promo class, but promos when we were doing local promos and I was trying to give a class, I'd be getting, 8-10 takes from guys that have been in the business 5 or 10 years. And Adam Cole, I'd say, here's your story. Tell it in your words, right? And first time, boom, nothing else to see here. That's a take. So I always knew he was going to be tremendous. I've been a big fan of his from the start. But anyway, this match, and once again, because I watched it alone without all that other stuff in front of it, so I wasn't in a particularly bad mood after seeing all that other stuff. But It's just, as another match we'll talk about when we talk about NXT, which we haven't even mentioned. We're going to talk about the NXT show here later on in the program. It stood out because it was so different, because it was what the business is supposed to be, wrapped around a lot of stuff that the business has become. So I liked it. I liked it. But nobody's going to believe that, because nobody believes I like anything.
Did you hear him say how much he hates AEW? He said Adam Page isn't any good and that Chris Jericho sucks. That Cornette. Irrelevant.
Yes.